nightmare.
Hello and welcome back to a Cinema Subculture special, on which we are looking at the Batman films throughout the years. Last time we spoke about the Tim Burton series of films, Batman and Batman Returns. Tonight we'll be looking at Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. I'm just going to spend a little bit of time on each, Gary.
Okay, yeah.
Probably should introduce ourselves, but never mind. I'm
Yeah,
Simon.
they know who we are, don't
well,
they?
if they're listening, they'll probably know who it is. We'll just do it anyway, and you can add it, you can cut it, right, in.
Okay.
You just slot it in.
Right.
You can do that, Gary, yeah?
I can do that.
I know you can. My name's Simon.
And I'm Gary.
Okay, so we'll get this one over nice and quick, will we, Gary?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, because
Don't want to beat a dead horse.
no, these films are widely considered, I think, to be the worst of the bunch when it comes to the Batman films. Would you agree with that, Gary?
I think so, yeah.
Would you actually say that yourself though?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
yeah. Just making sure I wasn't like, these are my favourite films and everyone hates them. So we'll look at 1995's Batman Forever. Do you want to give us a bit of a plot rundown, Gary? That seems to be your thing.
So, the main thrust of the plot is the origin story of the Riddler.
Right,
And he seeks revenge on Bruce Wayne
Sure.
/ Batman.
Sure.
And intertwined, you have the origin story of Robin as well,
Oh yeah, that's right.
whose parents have been killed by Harvey Dent, Two-Face character.
I would argue that the thrust of both of these films are bat nipples.
Well,
I mean,
no.
I would say that's the thrust of the films. They don't seem to appear to, exist for any other reason.
That's what I take away from the film.
Yes.
I think, yeah.
Except when it comes to Batgirl and Batman and Robin, they chose not to give her nipples, which I think is a bit sexist, but
Well, that's what Schumacher said.
yeah.
Didn't
But anyway, we digress.
So, it seems they wanted to shift towards a lighter feel for this film.
Yeah.
There was a kind of consensus that Batman Returns went a bit dark.
And apparently, it was also a consensus by the studio that it wasn't a great financial success. I mean, I don't really know what the numbers are on it, but I mean, I don't remember. I remember when it came out. I think I went to see it at the cinema. I can't remember. I don't even know what certificate it was, but I don't remember it being a failure.
Right.
You know what I mean? Do you have any recollections?
I couldn't really say. I don't think I saw it at the cinema.
I mean, it's one of those things that you can't imagine after how well Batman did, 89's Batman,
Yeah.
that bring it back with the Catwoman and Penguin characters in it, and still Michael Keaton and Tim Burton, you can't imagine that doing worse.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Aye.
To me, I just think that's weird. I'm looking at the numbers just now. It was like an 80 million budget, and it made like 266 box office.
Yeah.
266 million. I don't know, but that was just one of the things I read, that it was apparently like, maybe that's just an excuse. I know Tim Burton had said that he went in to speak about the next film, and he got the heavy impression that they really didn't want him to do it.
Right, yeah.
So, and he was kind of not that keen on doing another one anyway, but...
Right. Yeah, because I don't think Returns is any darker, really, than Batman.
It's more Tim Burton-esque, it's more gothic.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say it was darker necessarily.
It's in some ways it's lighter. There's a
bit more
carnival
camp
feel.
to it. Yeah.
But it does have its darkness as well.
Yeah, like kind of Batman had a kind of Dick Tracy, not the movie Dick Tracy, a Dick Tracy-esque like noir,
Yeah.
like, very much 30s almost look to it and feel to it, gangster film.
Aye.
Whereas this had a bit more of a freaks feel to it, I guess.
Yeah.
The circus and stuff. But no, I know what you mean. There's definitely elements that feel more gothic, and if that's what they mean by darker, then sure. It definitely feels more of a Tim Burton like style film that we came to know later on. But I guess by 89's Batman, he'd only done Pee-wee's Playhouse,
Right.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure, sorry. So really, we didn't know what a Burton-esque film was like. With the kind of Beetlejuice look. Or had he done Beetlejuice?
I think Beetlejuice was before.
You're right.
Because they'd got Keaton before, yeah.
Sure, but I don't know if it was out yet when they started making.
Right, okay.
But yeah, I know what you're saying. But this, talking about Burton films, we're talking about Schumacher films, that's how much I love them. I remember when Batman Forever came out, and I was like mega excited.
Yeah.
Like when this film came out, this was I had seals soundtrack tape. I had the U2 tape as well. I used to play them back to back and everything. I had the sticker book. You know what I mean? Like, and then it was like, now looking back on it, it's.
Yeah, I remember.
I even remember like watching it and enjoying it. And I mean, we watched it this time. I mean, we will come to Batman Robin in a second, but like, it was kind of boring. You know what I mean? It felt. I don't know if it's something about the amount of times I've seen it, but it did feel kind of. Come on, get on with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a terrible film, but it's pretty dull. There's nothing I don't feel is interesting. It's not quite entertaining enough to just throw out all this sort of thematic depth and say we're just gonna have a good time.
Sure. I mean, that being said, like Jim Carrey's Riddler is pretty good.
That's one of the best things.
I'm not saying it saves the film by any means, but it's definitely entertaining to watch. And I mean, at that point, he was in his peak.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean, Jim Carrey. And I mean, he does it well, and I couldn't really imagine anyone in that film else playing that, I guess. I mean, there's a lot of apparently deleted stuff from the script and stuff they shot that was going to, attempt to make this a darker film.
Okay.
But I don't know. Like, I saw some of the deleted scenes. I don't know if it would have particularly saved it. I mean, what do you think? Did you check out any of the deleted stuff?
I didn't see them, no.
No, I mean, I don't know. There was some I say interesting. There was some stuff cut that was like in like the trailer and stuff. Stuff you oh my god, that wasn't in the film.
Oh yeah, was there a bit about sort of backstory of it was about Wayne's psychological sort of the guilt that he'd sort of repressed.
Sure, apparently he'd apparently there was a whole plot point when Two-Face and Riddler attack the mansion.
Right.
And he wakes up with amnesia.
All right.
Which I know you think, okay, well, that's an interesting thing that's just completely deleted from the film. But when you put it back into the film, it would have actually played out for like 5 minutes when he didn't remember he was Batman.
Okay.
It seems so stupid because it's after it's after that, but before like Robin turns up in the costume. And in the film that happens within like 2 seconds of it. Like he wakes up, solves the riddles, then like down to the basement, finds that they've not managed to destroy all the bat stuff. And then Robin comes down. So in the film, it would woke up, not remember he was Batman, and Alfred would have been going like, "No, seriously, here's the photos. Look, that's you there. See the nipples there, your nipples." And then he'd been, "Oh, aye, Jesus, oh, aye, that's good." Solved the riddles, and then it just seems like it was and that was how he gets to the whole thing that he's now choosing to be Batman instead of. I mean, that seemed to be almost lost in the film. The Batman Forever thing. Felt very tacked on in the final film.
Yeah.
Like it never felt like in the Keaton films. It never felt like a struggle that he was, fighting against being Batman. In any iteration I've seen, it's never been. He always has to make tough choices, but it doesn't feel like he's having to. He still to me, he always chooses to be Batman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I don't know. I just think it's like. I don't know if it's a product of the cuts that were made or not shot or what, but it doesn't feel that would have saved it.
Right.
What did you think to Val Kilmer's Bruce Wayne?
Sorry, I don't know. I always kind of just want to compare it to Keaton, who is like kind of perfect for me, but he seemed a bit more smarmy, maybe.
That's what he did. If I didn't think he didn't come across as a nice guy. I mean, like. And specifically in the scene when Edward Nygma approached him about his idea, right? Okay, he's a dick. it's not a great idea, right? Okay, fair enough. But like Bruce Wayne's a wanker about it.
Aye,
he really does dismiss him. And okay, the bat signal goes and stuff like that. But you just get he just feels like he's playing. Maybe this is him playing the rich, cocky wank, right? But then that again, we're comparing it to the Tim Burton films for the mere fact that. We've got Alfred, Michael Gough playing Alfred and Pat Hingle playing Commissioner Gordon. Those are the only two characters that are carried over. So maybe, if on its own merit, you could see that. I mean, you look at Christian Bale's thing, trying to act the playboy or whatever. I guess it kind of works that way, but it's just not a very likeable Bruce Wayne. And I mean, but I think Keaton pulled off the duality better because Bruce Wayne was still a good guy.
Yeah.
He was a bit eccentric and kooky, but you didn't think you might punch him in the face.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, as I think we said this in the first episode, but Keaton's got that unique ability of like the humour, and like a dark humour, able to pull that off,
and an intensity as well. Yeah. And I mean, I didn't feel that Kilmer had intensity in this film. You know what I mean? He played that kind of, you know, vacuous kind of like playboy, like, as I say, wanker. But like when the scenes with Nicole Kidman's character, when he's going through his psychological repression, he doesn't have the intensity's not there.
Aye,
it feels very shallow.
Yeah, definitely. What did you think about the choice of Joel Schumacher?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I haven't seen any of his other films.
Right.
What was the other one he did? There was like a kind of teen film he made.
It's Almost Fire.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I mean, I've never seen that, so I don't know. I wouldn't. What other films has he made?
Yeah, one I noticed. I just checked out his filmography there. Right. He did that film Falling Down. Do you know that?
Yeah,
Michael Douglas goes in like
Douglas, sorry.
A kind of has a mental breakdown, goes on a rampage, which is quite gritty.
Yeah.
But a lot of the other stuff is a bit more kind of
light,
ostentatious and theatrical, maybe. Lost Boys. Have you seen that?
You made that?
Right, I have not seen that.
But you mean like the 80s film? Like
the vampire.
Yeah, I mean I would say it's a very 80s film. It's kind of like an adult Goonies-esque type thing. You know what I mean? It's alright. But I mean, I guess the director of those films, I wouldn't have necessarily automatically said he's the man for the Batman films, but I don't know. I mean, I don't like. I mean, well, I mean, Jay kind of says it himself. He knew what he was going into when he was making these films. It wasn't like he thought he was making like amazing films. So maybe it was just, here, we'll pay all this money. What we say, put as many characters in as you can get in, and we'll give you a cut of the toys. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I mean, I don't. That kind of, that's not the impression necessarily gives in the special features or that watching them, but like, he does, as I say that he went in with his eyes open. He knew what he was getting into.
Aye.
He wasn't making these films thinking they were like the best films ever or possible. So I don't know. I mean, we almost completely. We spoke about about just skipping these films altogether. So that tells you, what you need to know about these films, I think.
Well, one thing I was thinking about watching them. It's like an adult's perspective on a film that's for kids or whatever. We are not the kind of maybe the target audience. So is it kind of churlish or in a way to kind of totally rip them apart if they're doing what they kind of intended to do?
I think it is on a film basis, because we've spoken about many films. We that's kind of what we do, right? So. Like, looking at it in that basis, to me it would appear that these films have been intended to sell toys,
right?
In action figure. I mean, literally, and it happens in Batman and Robin as well. They literally introduce a bat vehicle. They reintroduced the Batwing to be destroyed,
right?
And it's like, I mean, they speak about it in the commentaries or something as well. It's like we have to. It's like almost like they had to put it in.
Yeah, is actually an actual term that Schumacher said that he'd never heard before, but the studio wanted to make the film, well, this is Batman and Robin, but they had to make it toyetic.
Right, exactly. I mean, there's no other reason. I mean, they introduced the Batboat and the Batwing, right? I mean, just that's it. You know, I mean, that's what do you need them there for? It's very, and I mean, again, they destroy the Batmobile, so basically, so they can have a new Batmobile in the next one. Right. That's what it feels like, As compared to the Tim Burton films, sure, okay, and in Batman Returns we have Catwoman and Penguin, but I don't feel feel that that's solely aimed at like we want another character, because it's not as if Catwoman has a cat bike, or what I mean, like, okay, the Penguin has his thing, but that kind of fits into the circle, it fits into the story nicely, you know what I mean, whereas in Batman Forever it's just like, by sea or by water, it's kind of like, just pick one, mate, does it matter?
And I remember as well, like at the time, the figures that came out, I felt they were really bad quality.
Yeah. I mean, I never really like paid much attention to the action figure. At this point, I was kind of like, I wasn't really into buying the things. I wanted,
Right.
to be honest, I thought the Batmobile looked quite cool,
Mhm.
the toy, and I would have got that had I been a little younger. But
Right.
I probably should have been too old. But.
I think I was still into it, kinda.
I mean,
I
we're
would have
talking
bought some.
95.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying I wasn't into like action figures.
Yeah.
I was very much a Power Rangers child, but I probably wasn't really into buying the Batman toys.
I can't remember.
I think at that point I was kind of into the animated series as well, so it was kind of like this was kind of fucking about my life a wee bit.
I can't remember if they changed manufacturer or something, but I just remember thinking, no, these look like shit. They were badly designed.
Yeah, so I mean, making a film that's basically to sell toys and then making shit toys. Seems like just like that. I mean, that again, that's the basis I think that we've got to look at it on as a film. Like,
yeah,
when a film becomes an ad, I mean, they talk about like the old Transformers TV show of literally being like, you know, an extended ad for toys.
right.
No, it was. I mean, and that was the original concept for it. But man, at least it's kind of honest a bit about it, and like you're not watching. You don't like you can watch those without thinking, oh, here comes another one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, such and such. You know, Transformers. I've never seen that guy before. What's going on? I mean, it happened, but it didn't happen like stupidly. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's probably like compared to, but it just feels like that. This feels like it's just an ad for toys.
Yeah.
But by the end of it, I mean, I'm not saying there wasn't a higher concept there to start with, but I don't know. And even like the characters like Sugar and Spice, like that are like Two-Face's like henchwomen, are completely underused. Like,
Yeah.
and that feels like straight out of the 60s show.
Aye.
You know what I mean? It's something again that they were trying to get so far away from with the Burton films, and then all of a sudden it's like it's almost like the bad guys in the old show when they'd have the name in the back of their shirts and stuff like that.
Yeah, like another character who's underused is Two-Face as well.
He's totally
He
putting the
hardly does
back on.
anything.
Yeah, I think that's due to probably Jim Carrey's star power at that point.
Well, yeah, it is the Riddler's film.
Yeah,
kinda, I guess.
I mean, I even remember the poster. I mean, yeah, it's like it's literally like Riddler's like, right at the front. You know what I mean? Batman's kind of in the background, and he's there, but it's like, I mean, people talk about Heath Ledger kind of stealing Dark Knight a bit, but this was kind of the height of that. Even Jack Nicholson didn't. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, he was really good in Batman, but he didn't steal that film. You know what I mean? You kind of Keaton held his own in it. Yeah, you know.
I mean, to get Harvey Dent, like Tommy Lee Jones in, and like not having really do anything except for laugh maniacally.
I know, it's so over the top as well, isn't he? He's really like. It's like it's not like you. I mean, that whole thing with Harvey Dent, he's meant to have like a kind of evil, well, you know, a dark side. That's the whole kind of dichotomy of the character, but he just seems to be like all complete. There's no kind of half and half. Yeah, it doesn't feel like he's split. Aye, it just feels like
just like gags about. Am I just doing bad gags about like having two?
Yeah, aye. He keeps like one-liners. Yeah.
It seems, I mean, not to take it too seriously, but they kind of don't kind of maybe give the character the respect it deserves in this. They don't do the origin kind of show where he came from, like, and the thing with the coin. There's a scene where he just keeps flipping the coin to get the right result.
Exactly. The whole thing is he's meant to let people. I mean, again, they kind of twist it in the Dark Knight a wee bit, but I mean, not to this extent. But it's like he'll just keep flipping his coin till he gets the answer he wants to do. That's not the character, you know what I mean? And I mean, I'll come back to it again when we talk about Batman and Robin, but I mean, I can't remember the name of the episode, but the episode in the animated series, even just the whole Batman animated series, they introduced Harvey Dent as a supporting character, as Bruce Wayne's friend, who had like kind of some issues, and you know, and he was in a few episodes before eventually the big two-parter, and I mean that was handled like way more maturely, right, and like the character, I mean, it was whole. I mean, as a kid, and even back now, it's like that's really deep, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I guess, I mean, I know they've got longer to introduce and stuff like that, but it just felt like if a cartoon can do it right, you know what I mean? Something that is deemed so like adult,
Yeah.
I mean, it really did, and it was the reveal at the end of the first part of that episode is basically you finally seeing Harvey Dent and his girlfriend or his fiance's there, and like she's like trying to, you know, what I mean, it's
yeah, another example of that is Mr. Freeze as well.
That's what I was going to say when we come to Batman and Robin. I mean, the year Batman and Robin came out, they released the straight-to-video Batman Sub-Zero.
Okay.
Which wasn't, I mean, it wasn't up to par with like something like Heart of Ice from the original series, but it was the same team that made, like, you know, Batman animated series, and that wasn't even that good compared to something like Mask of the Phantasm or something like that. But it was still 10 times better than Batman and Robin's Mr. Freeze. And I mean, that was commented in the reviews at the time. Like, you know, if again there's a straight to video like animated movie here that's doing it better for like a fraction of the budget probably.
That's it. I guess that's just like kind of the genius of the animated series, like how it was able to do like a kid's show but with real weight and heft to it. I mean, it's a lesson to it.
It is. I mean, that's it. I mean, we could do a whole series of podcasts on that. I mean, alone the animated series, but no, definitely. I mean, that's kind of, there's elements I think Nolan brings in from that. You know, because like obviously, Batman, it's meant, like, superhero films are meant to be kids' films, right? And that's what you're saying with the Batman films and stuff like that. But like, and I know like the Nolan films are 12s, but you know, so are the Spider-Man films. But like kids can still go and watch that and enjoy it. Yeah. But there's so many more levels to it. You know what I mean? Just like there was with the animated series. It's like, I'm glad they kind of finally realised it. Even with some of the Marvel films they've done recently, I mean, they're still selling toys with those films. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're still managing to sell toys off the back of them, but they're actually quite mature films. If you know what I mean? But there you go. What did you think of the Nicole Kidman's character? Bit tacked on.
Pointless.
Yeah, aye, totally. I mean, again, it gets worse when we go to Batman and Robin, but she's. What's she even? I don't even know what she's there for.
I know. It's like after a female kind of lead.
I guess it was kind of to be dealing with the whole psychological trauma and repression that he's got, but I don't know. It just seemed so that he could pull off one-liners. You know. She doesn't seem very professional either. Right. You know, firing the bat signal to get him to come to the PlayStation, then flashing some cleavage at him. You know? In the animated series, she would be a villain. You know, that's how bad it is. Introduction of Robin, how do you think that was handled? For one, do you feel Robin was too old? Portrayed too old?
I thought it was alright. I didn't really have a problem with age.
I didn't have it at the time, certainly. I guess, I mean, in the context of the film, it's probably the last thing I would change. Right. You know what I mean? If I could change anything about it, it's probably not the top of my list. No, I mean, Chris O'Donnell's okay. He's likeable enough. He's definitely more more likeable than Val Kilmer, I think, as Bruce Wayne.
Like changing it to be Two-Face is a controversial, maybe.
Sure, but I guess it's what they did with the Joker. I guess they're trying to do that kind of similar thing. And I guess it's just like, I don't know, it's anything they can tie to their main characters. Gives Two-Face something else to do, doesn't it, really?
That's it, yeah.
Really, I mean, his plan is kind of a bit like mental. It's like, oh, you guys are all the rich folk who can afford to go to the circus, and like one of yous must ken who Batman is. Right. So I'm going to kill these folk unless you tell me. I mean, what does that? What does his logic come from? You know, that seems a bit kind of odd. In this film, we get the introduction of, I don't know the character's name, but that stupid news woman. I always try to get a story for Bruce Wayne. Aye. Who carries to Batman and Robin. That woman is vile. I always remember, like, way back, like, even when I thought the film was alright when I was younger, it's like, I still didn't like her then. Right, okay. Just, like, go away.
I think I did quite like it at the time as well.
I mean,
I remember, I think it was slightly disappointing coming off Batman Returns, but I was excited for the VHS coming out at Christmas time, I think.
See, so, I mean, I do remember, I'm the same, I do have, like, fond memories of it.
I remember there was the different places. I think the first time I experienced this, if you buy it at Menzies, you get a T-shirt.
All right.
Stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. You the question mark with
yeah.
What do you think of the finale in this one? We've spoke about the finale in the last two.
Climax,
if you will.
What exactly happens again?
Exactly.
It's a while since we've seen them.
I'm sure, like, well, they break into the mansion, they kidnap Chase,
Right.
Nicole Kidman's character, and they fire out. Like, I mean, they leave them a series of riddles. I can't quite remember. I think that's before they actually know who he is. But then they go to his big island where he's got a big one of his brain boxes on the top of it, and they fly out. Well, Batman flies in the Batwing, and he gives a thumbs up to Commissioner Gordon, who's on the top of the GCPD, and he shouts to him, "Go, go!" Batman comes back, Rune stops the plane, jumps and goes, "What, pal?" So he flies and Robin's in the boat, and then that gets blown up in mines. Anyway, they get to the island,
right,
and then they climb up inside it, and Robin almost kills Two-Face, knocks him off the side of the island, but he doesn't. He saves him because Batman's telling him that's not going to make you feel any better. You know what I mean? You want to get him on the flare, storing his balls a bit about half dozen times. That'll do it. You know what I mean? That'll make you feel a bit better at least. And then Batman gets inside, and the Riddler's there, who's changed costume again and made his hair all funny. Don't know, that always seemed weird to me because he's just there. He's there 2 seconds ago, then he's away and changed and made his hair all wavy. It's longer as well, which I don't think that's possible. But anyway, and then he's asked to make the choice between Bruce Wayne's squeeze and Batman's partner, who he's just had for half an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, that literally is like, I mean, the old TV show, the 60s TV show, Robin was only there to get caught most of the time. And like this, Justin Donald's done it for half an hour, and that's him caught. Anyway, and that's when he gives the big speech about being both Bruce Wayne and Batman.
Right.
And he catches them. So he does, because
he can save them both, can't he?
Oh, okay. Well, he's Batman.
Aye.
He's got hundreds of toys. He's got anti-faulty or death spray.
Right.
And that's about it. They fight Two-Face. He gets knocked into the. Remember, he flicks his coin to decide if he's going to shoot him. At which point he says, "Oh, thanks, Bruce. You were always such a good friend," which we've seen none of. There's no kind of implied friendship before this point. And Batman flings hundreds of coins at him.
Right. Oh, aye.
And then he flies. And then we see, Batman smashes the thing up above the Riddler and it goes into his brain.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then he ends up in Arkham Asylum, first appearance of Arkham in any movie. And he thinks he's Batman. That's kind of it.
Right.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Then Batman and Robin run towards the camera by the bat signal, which seems a bit odd. I don't know. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I can't know what's happening. Commissioner Gordon's standing behind it going, "Go, go!" I mean, I don't know. To me, the only, again, we've said it, like, one of the only two characters that carries it through all the way through these films, to me, is the only reason worth watching these films. Like Michael Gough's Alfred. He is Alfred, isn't he? He feels definitely like the quintessential Alfred.
Yeah.
So that's a plus point for this film, I'd say. Anything else to add, Gary? I mean, the film opens up with a fucking McDonald's joke.
Right. Drive-through.
He says, "Will I give you a sandwich, sir?" Which is alright, it's a bit cheesy, but you're like, that's a valid question, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Batman eats too. And he's like, "I'll get drive-through."
Yeah.
"I'll get drive-through." Fuck off, you dick. You know what I mean? You know they were doing. I mean, when they did the Michael Keaton films, right, the Tim Burton films, there was an ad, a McDonald's ad with Batman going through the drive-through in the Batmobile.
Oh, is it?
Surely we had our fill of Batman McDonald's jokes from that alone. I mean, that's all you need. You don't need to do it again. But is the first line from Batman in the film?
Yeah.
It really sets the tone, doesn't it?
It does. It's downhill from there. I don't think I'll ever watch this film again, to be honest.
I don't know. I mean, I got the box set of the 4 of the
Yeah.
films, and just a completist in me, I guess. I got them, but nah, I don't see me. And I haven't watched the commentary, so I could see me revisiting that just to just get it out and never have to watch it again. But nah.
But then I don't know. Maybe kids will still enjoy it.
It'll be a fascinating historical document in the escalation of, what was it, toyetic films. There you go. So
yeah,
that's.
I mean, it just has no charm. I mean, the Batman the movie in the 60 series is campy, but it's hard to hate.
Man, definitely. I mean, you just need Adam West and Burt Ward as Batman and Robin on screen, pounding their fists.
Yeah.
Doing that, and you're just like, oh man, it's your childhood, and I mean, not even our. It was way before our childhood, but still part of our childhood.
Yeah.
And you're just like, it's alright.
Yeah.
They'll sort it out, won't they? It doesn't matter. It's all good. Even with Cesar Romero standing there in his Joker makeup, still sporting his moustache, and you can still just go, it's alright, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Now, coming back to the 60s show, we're talking about Riddler performances. I still feel that was it Frank Gorshin?
Gorshin, is it?
Gorshin,
yeah.
That he was say the quintessential Riddler. He was.
I think so. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'd say that Carey's maybe channeling him a wee bit. You know what I mean? As he's jump about, and even like the kind of what he's wearing. I guess that was maybe the Riddler look at the time, but I think he takes a lot of inspiration from that performance, because he was very kind of kinetic, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
with his movements.
But he's also that kind of tough guy. Sort of persona to him as well. Sort of something like something out of film noir. Like
I was just thinking that, like a gangster. Yeah. I was going to ask, like, did he play like, that kind of character? No, I get what you're saying. Just a wee side note, I really like Frank Gorshin's performance. I think that's all we can say on Batman Forever, thankfully.
Only other thing I noted, this was a massive financial success.
I mean, it was like 100 mil budget, made like 336 and a half. Box office, to say, I didn't hate it when it came out.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily hate it now. I'm just a bit impartial about it. It's just kind of it's not something I want to watch. If I'm going to watch a Batman film, it's not going to be in my top 5 of picks. You know what I mean?
Although sometimes that's misleading, as it doesn't necessarily equate to the film being loved.
Sure.
It's just like, if a film's a big event, people go to see it.
Well, I mean, coming off the back, as I was saying about Batman Returns, like coming off the back of Batman,
and
then Batman Returns, I don't think there was anybody who'd liked Batman who wouldn't have went and seen this film. You know what I mean? And it's sometimes you just have to roll with the punches. You know, it's like the Star Wars films when they released the prequels.
Right.
Everyone bitches and moans about them, but every Star Wars fan that went and seen it, and plus some, you know what I mean? So you're still going to go, aren't you? I mean, if they release a new one now, even knowing what they did, you know, how people feel about the prequel films, people would still go and see them.
Yeah. Well, they're doing 3Ds, aren't they?
Yeah, that's it. I mean...
Okay, Batman and Robin.
Right, okay. 1997, I believe. 2 years later. And it couldn't get much worse, you'd think, wouldn't it? Well, to be fair, when we watched this, Gary, we were about 10 minutes in, and I think both of us were more engaged in this film than we had been in Batman Forever.
Indeed.
It's far more charming.
Could say,
you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, kind of... And I mean, we both kind of threw it right out there. I mean, and it's something that I knew in retrospect, but you realise even more looking at it now, the inspirations that have come from the 60s show. It's full on here.
Yeah.
But I think that you had said that when we were watching was it's far too long.
That's it.
To be that, you know, if you're going to go that, you can't hold it up for that long.
Aye, this was the only second time I'd seen this film, and the first half an hour, I think it's fairly enjoyable. I was kind of getting into it.
There's actually probably not necessarily more one-liners in this than there was in Batman. You know, Batman Forever was trying to be kind of dark and kind of, but it seemed to have these, like, you know, the same kind of bad one-liners, but this didn't seem to have necessarily more. It just was, they were there, and everything else around about it was a bit more fantastical. But
yeah, I mean, if it's going to go kind of balls to the wall, like total fun, entertaining ride, I'm prepared to go with that as long as it works. And it works for maybe, if this was maybe 80 minutes long,
Yeah.
I think it would be pretty good. But it kind of doesn't know when to stop in a way. It just kind of keeps going.
Drags it out, doesn't it? I mean, the thing that kind of always, I think I said to you at the time, I don't know whether you agreed when we were watching it, but it feels like all the kind of Batman and Robin stuff, when they're, out fighting, seems very like high fantasy, campy, right? And then they go back to the Wayne Manor, and it's Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson and Alfred, and that stuff seems far more grounded, and a little more serious.
Yeah,
which seems, it's weird looking back on it now, like, because it's almost like this like world that completely doesn't exist when they're in the Batman, suits, bat suits. It's completely more or less CG, and it's not set in the real world. And then they go to Wayne Manor, and it's this like country estate.
right.
It just that the look of it, that just feels weird to me when I'm watching it. As I say, like, you could probably cut all that stuff out.
Right.
You know what I mean? And as you say, kept it like 80 minutes, 80, 90 minutes kind of thing. And it would probably work better in retrospect.
Yeah, I mean, well, George Clooney made the kind of good point that you've done the dark side of it. Where do you go? Do you want to just repeat that? Or just kind of one way to go is just to do a much more light-hearted take on it. So that's fair enough. And I think the studio kind of was wanting a more kind of
I mean, that's
even more kind of family-friendly version.
That was the thing I meant to say about the Batman Forever. Like, Joel Schumacher went into Batman Forever like trying to make a living comic book,
right?
All the colours and stuff like that. But I think when it came to this, even he said like, that was what they were wanting, was just like a kind of family fun, Batman film, and I guess that's kind of what we got. I feel that the thing that drags these films down, Forever and Batman and Robin, the most is the links and the ties to the Burton films. The fact that it's meant to be a continuation of that universe. That's what's implied.
Aye.
It's part of the same franchise. You know what I mean? If Batman and Robin had been like a reboot, or like Batman Forever even, I think. I mean, I guess they didn't want to leave it much longer. I mean, 1992, I think Batman Returns, when they left it to 95. I guess they wouldn't have wanted to wait much longer with the kind of cash cow that it was. But if it had been billed more as a kind of a new start, I mean, the reboot hadn't really happened much.
Aye.
It was more, like, I think Batman Begins was actually the big kind of, in recent memory, the kind of reboot, when that became fashionable. But I think that may have let it be its own thing.
Right, yeah.
I think that hurts this and makes it look worse looked on. Because it's still meant to be part of the same franchise.
Possibly. I mean, it was always going to be compared to them, just when it's coming down.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But, I mean, what do you think of Clooney?
I like George Clooney. I do, as an actor. I think he's Bruce Wayne's far better than Val Kilmer. It's completely different from Michael Keaton. There's no comparison there, but he's a much more likable person.
Definitely, yeah.
Even his Batman's like still fairly charismatic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Guy's just smooth.
Definitely.
Oozes charisma.
Definitely, yeah. And I mean, I don't know. He just comes across as a good guy.
Yeah.
Like, he's the kind of, if you're Robin, he's the kind of like millionaire guy you'd want to get taken in with. You know what I mean? He just seems like he'll take you like for a drink. You know what I mean? But not in a gay way. Maybe in a gay way. Well, Robin's older in this film, so probably a gay way. Right. Which is fine. I guess we never really did the plot for this, Gary. So I guess you cut this in. Do you want to give us a bit of a plot outline, Gary, for this film?
I don't. I can't even remember the plot.
I don't think it has much of a plot. I mean, really, like, Mr. Freeze has a scheme to freeze everybody. Right.
You get the Poison Ivy story. What's that? I can't remember her motivation.
I think she discovers that guy doing weird experiments on people and giving them, and turns that guy into Bane.
Alright, aye.
With the venom that she's helped synthesize but didn't really know she was helping to do it. And she tells him to stop doing that.
Right.
And then he, quotation marks, kills her by throwing plants on top of her. that seemed a bit kind of weak, but and she comes back as Poison Ivy. And and then she's like, we should tear down Gotham City and let the plants reclaim it.
Right.
And I remember she goes to like Bruce Wayne meets him at that press conference in the observatory, and it's like she makes some valid points. Some, you know, she's kind of almost balanced. And like for once he, like, well, not like in the last film with Edward Nygma, he doesn't totally dismiss her. He's just like, actually, we do a lot for, you know, like, you know, the green cause, if you will. And she seems a wee bit kind of like, no, I don't care.
Right.
Just rip everything. You know, she doesn't seem very reasonable. So my point is, so you don't have much sympathy for her. You do a wee bit at the beginning, but eventually she just becomes like a temptress for Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
You know, it seems to just be there to cause conflict between them.
Yeah, Poison Ivy's more one of the more kind of extreme villains, like stretching the kind of limits of reality, the love dust and things like that.
Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's just too much. That's what I said before. Like, I mean, the one-liners are okay to a point, but after you've there's too many.
Again, I mean, like, I guess in the context of this film, you can't really compare it to, but like something like the episode Heart of Ice from the animated series, it's just like that. It could have been so good.
I know, that's the thing. Yeah,
it could have been so tragic and so. I mean, they keep the kind of, because I think animated series is where they come up with the origin for Mr. Freeze, the modern day origin with the Nora, his wife, being frozen because she's ill or whatever.
Right.
So they keep that side of things, but you don't really get much of a. I mean, even port over the frosted tear.
Okay.
That he has near the end.
Yeah.
Which is right out the ending of Heart of Ice, but like, it actually meant something in that.
Yeah.
Whereas this, it's just, I don't know, it just feels.
Aye. Again, Freeze is one of the more like extreme end of the villains, but
at least he's kind of based in science, I guess.
Yeah, he's a villain who has sort of an understandable motivation to some point. It's not strictly for
personal gain
or crime or just messing with Batman. So it's an interesting character, but they didn't quite.
Yeah,
they didn't choose to do anything with it really.
It feels like he's kind of his motivation is totally lost, except for a few scenes that still don't really hit home.
Aye,
you know. Don't know. I mean, Arnie's alright. Again, he's usually pretty likeable in films. I don't know. I didn't need him in my Batman film, I don't think.
Aye. I think it was a case of...
A lot of folk wanted to be in these films, didn't they?
That's the thing I was going to say. It was maybe a case of, right, Arnold Schwarzenegger wants to be in a Batman movie, who can he play? Rather than, like, we're going to do Mr. Freeze, who's the perfect person to play that.
Why couldn't he have played Bane? He has the accent. Bane's meant to be like kind of, well, he's not meant to be from like was it
Austria.
So. He's not meant, but he's meant to be like kind of South American, so he's got an accent. And he's usually pretty muscle bound. He could have easily pulled off like a good, like a smart evil Bane. Speaking of Bane, I mean, like, talk about like bastardized characters. I mean, like, almost like compared to Bane, I almost don't care what they did with Mr. Freeze. It's sort of right into it. It's not bad. At least he still had a freeze gun. You know what I mean?
Why did they even bother putting him in?
Exactly.
It could have been any.
I think it was to do with the Nightfall thing at that time.
Yeah,
like, it wasn't long after the Nightfall thing, but again, a character that did, like, again, we could fucking tout it all day, but in the animated series they actually did justice to. You know what I mean? Not maybe went as far as the comics, but the guy that doesn't even talk.
Yeah.
Just growls.
Aye. And part of Bane's character is his intelligence.
That's the whole thing. I mean, he orchestrates in the comics the whole, like, he's like, the best way to take this guy down, Batman, put him up against everyone, and then I'll get him when he's weakest.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bit dirty, but it's like, it's clever, and he figures out who Batman is as well in that. So to have him go from like this, like, kind of genius strategist, to being like a guy who can knock down walls, and that's it. And where's a fedora hat
Right.
like as a disguise, but he's still got the gimp mask on. Oh, I don't know, man. It really feel sorry for that character. You know, it's a bit of a thing. But anyway, it was more enjoyable, I'd say, than Batman Forever. Watching it again, I think this was the first time I'd seen it all the way through since the first time second time I've seen it. I saw it at the cinema back in the day.
Yeah, I think I definitely had more fun with this than Batman Forever.
For at least the first 40 to 50 minutes, I would say. As I say, it did start to kind of drag on. It's 125 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no need for that at all. I mean, Batman Forever was 122 minutes.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I mean, actually, we need to cover Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl. Talk about the most unnecessary addition character wise. This is like the equivalent of the fucking Batwing at the end of Batman Forever.
Right.
I mean, there's no point. I mean, Alfred's meant to be dying.
Aye.
And his niece comes. I mean, first of all, like it's obviously it's like we need a quick way to get Batgirl into this story.
Right, yeah.
And it's like we can't have her as Barbara Gordon. Let's have her as Barbara, whatever her name is. It's not Pennyworth. But it's just like, we didn't need it.
Yeah, well, I think Schumacher said that he was wanting to kind of appeal to the female audience a wee bit.
And I mean, again, Alicia Silverstone was kind of at the peak of her kind of career at that point. Quite a sharp peak. But I don't know, it's just fine then. Have her in it, that's fine, have her in it, but don't have two villains.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? Or three villains that are in it, technically. I don't know. It's just it seems a bit cash in again with the whole thing. It doesn't feel like they're appealing to the female thing. Because I mean, the only thing that you think, oh, she's kind of what's the word? Girl power.
Okay.
You know, is when she rides the motorbikes and races in the motorbikes. But even then, she needs Robin to save her.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Although, does she not take out Poison Ivy at one point?
Och, die. But I mean, she knocks her back into one of her big flowers.
Oh, right.
Yeah, no. Again, that I mean, there's so many one-liners in that scene.
Right.
You know, that's just like, I don't know if she's needed, Gary. Is what I'm saying. What do you mean? Feel free. You know, what's your opinion on it, Gary?
I know what you're saying. There's definitely too many characters in it, but it seems kind of redundant to say that because we know why they're there. Don't know what else to say.
Nah, I mean, let's just wrap this up because
Right.
I think I've said.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's not as if we're the first people to have these opinions. As I say, we did. I think we both agree that before we watched these films, I would have said that Batman Robin is the worst one.
Yeah.
Like, out of the four, like the Burton films and the Schumacher films. Whereas now I would say actually I'd rather watch that before I'd watch, you know, Batman Forever.
Yeah.
Again.
Well, I think overall Batman Forever is probably a better film. Even Batman Robin is a bit more enjoyable at that point.
Yeah. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But forced to watch one, you know, I'd probably say I could easily sit through Batman and Robin and kind of just switch off.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
But I wouldn't want to watch either of them again, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever watch Batman and Robin again either in the near future anyway.
Nah, I mean, if some of the younger members of my family ever come to me and are like, this is on, I want to watch it.
Right, aye.
Uncle Simon or Dad Simon, or I would say, alright, I'll watch it then.
Yeah.
But there you go. So we'll wrap this episode of our special Bat Pods up. Looking forward to the next one, Gary. Going to be looking at the Nolan films,
right?
Nolan franchise as a whole. Really, we're going to give our thoughts on Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, and have a wee quick look forward to Dark Knight Rises, which releases pretty soon. Actually, by the time you hear these, it will probably be the week of release. Okay, guys, thanks very much. Thanks for listening. I've been Simon.
And I've been Gary.
And I've also been Simon. Well, join us, same bat time, same bat podcast.
nightmare.